Well, a very good morning to you and welcome to our Clocking the Gallop preview for today. It's Thursday, the 5th of January, and we've got a spring in our step this morning because it is the start, Lyle Cooper, of our Clocking the Gallop direct line, which we offer to the public on a subscription service basis. Every now and then when there's a big feature meeting on the weekend, and this weekend we focus on the Lomorance King's Plate, but we're bringing you paid for selections from Thursday through to Sunday. And as you know, it's a wonderful time for us because we get together telephonically to discuss the cards for 4 days. And it really is exciting because it brings up some interesting debatable topics, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun working with the guys as well. There's some real personalities, and geez, you must actually work out the years of knowledge between all the participants.
Yeah.
But it's been a great experience for me, and you and I laugh a lot. We laugh a lot during these debates.
Yeah, we do. We tend to laugh quite a bit at what people say because everyone's got strong opinions. But I do need to add a little bit of an extra dimension to it because I'm happy to report, and I know there were a couple of queries on Clocking the Gallop during the course of the week from a couple of strong followers about Robert Bloomberg's participation. Now, the Ringer is well known to Clocking the Gallop audiences because he's been on for a couple of years and he's been very thorough in his understanding and his assessment of the big feature meetings, not only down in Cape Town, but also here in Joburg and also down in Durban. But I had a lengthy discussion with the Ringer yesterday, and he's been kind enough to send me through his information for Saturday, which we will incorporate into our Clocking the Gallop direct line. Now, if you're not sure of the Clocking the Gallop direct line, I'm just going to take a moment to just remind you what I'm talking about before we continue with what our discussion is going to be today. So this starts today. So you still have probably until about midday. I'm just looking at the time of the first race. It's 12:35. So we'll make it until 12:30. You can get on board the Clocking the Gallop direct line, and it covers 4 meetings. It'll cost 250 Rand, so it works out at just over 60 Rand a day. Unfortunately, there's no part payment for some meetings and not for others. So if you do want to come on board tomorrow, you're more than welcome to come on board tomorrow, but you'll only get Fairview, Kenilworth, and Scottsville. But if you come on board today, you'll get all 4 meetings. Thursday, the 5th of January at the Vaal, Friday, the 6th of January at Fairview, Saturday, the 7th of January at Kenilworth, and Sunday, the 8th of January at Scottsville. You deposit your 250 Rand into the Clocking the Gallop FNB account, which is shown on your screen. There, 6290552832, or the branch code 250655. Use your name, your surname, and your mobile number as your reference, and then send that proof of payment through to us on clockingthegallop@gmail.com or WhatsApp us that proof on 079 3905747 and tell us how you want us to send through the selection sheets. Is it via email or is it via WhatsApp? Those are 2 modes of communication, and then we'll send you our New Year tips bundle. Now, we decided...
Dry run.
Yeah, we had a dry run. I call it a dummy run on Tuesday. We had a dummy run on Tuesday between all the participants that'll be taking place. And we said, let's have a go at the Kenilworth card. And if you're not sure what we're talking about, go and listen. I think it's not long. It's probably about 15 or 20 minutes preview. That was what you're likely to get over the next 4 days, because that was a summation of the thinking of every individual involved in Clocking the Gallop. But add to that, of obviously, Robert Bloomberg's assessment as well, because he wasn't part of the Tuesday information. But Lyle, there were some interesting nuggets and some treasured nuggets that came out of that. Notably, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but without question was 20-1, and that only comes about as a result of study. Everyone was on the favorite, which admittedly lost ground at the start, Glenn Cotson's horse. But all I can say is that without question was the horse that we picked out at 20-1. I'm not sure if you're still with me, Lyle.
Yeah, so that was fantastic, Nico, and we had a very good day, and it was a lot of fun. And your roughie came through, and when you told us about the roughie, we were like, no, maybe. But it was a good day. We found a lot of value. And one or two of the horses we found as well were weighted to win, and yet they were 6 or 7 to 1. So as you always say, studying pays off. But the guys we do this with as well, with so much experience, they often find horses that I might not even think of, and that's great to have those type of guys in the team.
Well, the Ghost Rider nearly got there with his outsider countdown, which I think Dead Heated for third. In a very, very close finish, and that was in the region of 16 or 20 to 1. So do yourself a favor. If you're unsure and you say, well, we're thinking of paying, but it costs too much and 60 Rand a meet, go and listen to Tuesday's broadcast of Kenilworth. That was an indication of what you're likely to get on our selection sheets. Now, it's the Vaal Classic meeting today. I've again been struggling to get to our normal website for the betting, so I'm going to bring up that betting now. Now, unfortunately, folks, we're going to be doing it a bit differently this morning because our Clock in the Gallop direct line takes precedence. So today's racing is at the Vaal Classic track. I'll be speaking to Lyle about a few races today, but if you want the full assessment of the meeting, then join the Clock in the Gallop direct line. Now, today, I think there's going to be a bit of rain out at the Vaal. I think you're going up there, but I've heard that it will rain today.
I think it's raining now, Nico.
Is it? I've heard that there's going to be rain. So if it may or may not be raining now, but you've heard it from a reliable source, have you, that it's currently raining?
I've actually got a picture of video of someone driving to the Vaal and it's pouring about 20, 30 minutes out.
Okay, so at the moment, so this is taken at 4 o'clock yesterday. The penetrometer is 20 and the track condition good. The false rail is set 3.5 meters down the back straight and on the bend with an 8-meter spur at the 600-meter marker. They only had 7 mils of rain up until 3-4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, but they are going to get rain today, and 11 millimeters of rain has been irrigated on the track. The only scratching on the card is in race 6, number 4, Arden Park. That's coming through to early on a Thursday, but suffice to say that hopefully the meeting does get underway, but I'm not sure whether they're going to finish it or not because there is a lot of rain predicted, but you'll be at the course and you'll be able to tell us what the story is, Lyle.
And the Vaal takes rain incredibly well, Nico. Last week, one of the days, it rained for 4 hours and we raced the entire race meeting. It's amazing how well the Vaal Classic course drains.
Okay, the big question is whether or not there's going to be lightning. So that is the question there.
That is not nice.
And that isn't nice, yeah. Okay, so I want to quickly discuss a few of the races on the card. As I said, we're not going to go through it lock, stock, and barrel. That's reserved for the Clock in the Gallop direct line.
Yes.
But I want to pick out on a couple of races. I want to quickly go to the first race, which is interesting. It's a maiden juvenile plate, but reserved for fillies over 800 meters. And I'm going to bring up the betting for you here right now, courtesy of soccershop.bet. Which is the website that is available to us. Now, this is pretty interesting because Heirloom, who only carries 56 kilos and had 2 runs already, is the favorite at 16 to 10, but there's been strong support for number 8, Virginia Beach. Now, Virginia Beach runs for the stable of Tony Peter. Now, Tony Peter, the son of Paul Peter, has taken out his license, and this is his first run, if I'm not mistaken. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But what puzzles me, and I haven't been able to get hold of them, but is, fair enough that Tony Peter's taken out his license, but how long has the horse been in training for? And who was looking after it before Tony Peter took out his license, which was only a couple of weeks ago? The fact that Tony Peter and Robin Klaasen are related, and the money is coming for Virginia Beach, means that Virginia Beach, whilst it's not a stable companion of Heirloom, certainly they would have a line. So I respect both of them.
I agree 100%. Because the Virginia Beach, the actual comment from the stable was may need further, but does have ability. And looking into the mare's line, she won 4 times over the sprint. So even though she's by Silvano, the mare was speedy, and we have to respect this. I would imagine Tony Peter wants to come out with a bang.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Heirloom's the horse to beat, but very interesting points you make there, and I did make it out of those 2. And just one more that I would include into the places, by the way. would be a horse like number 4, the Daughter of Fire Away, because she was one of those horses that stood on the highway for 3 hours, Nico, when she made her debut. Remember that
Oh,
day?
really? What happened there? I can't remember. I wasn't around.
There was traffic. Yeah, there was traffic. So she stood in the float for 3 hours on the highway in the boiling sun.
Okay.
So Cornet Smith has made reference to this, and he has said she's decent and she will improve. So just watch out for number 4. And then 2 others I want to mention. Number 3, Divine Moonlight. I don't think maybe a winner, but there's speed there. And Watchung Mowing might be under the radar there with this one. And even a horse like number 6, which is the mare 1/14. So I thought your 2, I like them both. Probably I'm still going to probably go in the Heirloom's favor. Virginia Beach could be anything and probably is something. And then I'll just watch out for the 4 and those 2 other first timers when we're at the course.
Yeah, just quickly sticking with Virginia Beach, she is the full sister to Vivacious Spirit from the Jan Janse van Vuren stable. So she's fully related to a horse that I think came out and won on debut. I remember her winning under Gavin Larena on debut, hard ridden. It had to be added, but she won a good race, and that was in a sprint. So I respect the top 2 very much. So Heirloom and Virginia Beach. There was one other, and that is White Hills, because the daughter of Carrari is trained by Roy Magna. Roy is in good form, especially with the sprinting types, and I would watch the betting support for White Hills. So that is an interesting race. I made it, as I say, between the top 2. Virginia Beach has been backed. You can see the money there. Was 6-1 into 3-1. I think is even bigger than 6-1 in places, but now 2-1 actually, because you've got to take one off the price. So it's 2-1 now. So that's very interesting indeed. I want to move on to the second. The first, by the way, is the start of the bipod. The second is the start of the place accumulator, and that is the maiden juvenile plate over 800 meters. This one is open, so colts or fillies can participate here. In the second, number 5, Pomo Clapper, Alamites in front, Unshot behind, and no Alamites for number 6, Kawe Lami. Is the steals. Note that number 3, Fire and Flames, was gelded after its debut run on the 6th of December and comes out today as a gelding. Now, again, very little to choose between the top 2. Exchange Student is at 12.5 to 10, and Zenovi is almost at 13.5 to 10, and then we find Kawe Lami, the first timer, at 7-1. So again, it looks like a race in 2, barring any first timer popping up from the woodwork here. Which one were you on, the filly Exchange Student or the colt Zenovi?
I'm on the colt, Nico, and I'll tell you why. Mr. Chudder, he likes taking these BSA races. So yes. I think this horse has been earmarked for this exact race. We'll see that form line of Ripple Effect in race 1. So I think by race 2 we'll have a good feel. In fact, we'll see both form lines, in fact, in race 1. With Heirloom's got both those form lines in there, so we'll see.
Yes.
Zenobi, for me, I think that's going to be a good one. And then, of course, Exchange Student. That Mrs. Geriatrics actually holds the course record there. But I don't know how many races there have been over the 800 on the Vaal Classic. It's an interesting point.
In terms of?
Mrs. Geriatrics, the winner of that race. Yeah, she holds the course record.
Oh, she set the course record. Yeah.
But I don't know how many 800s they've had, Nico.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know what to read into that.
Yeah, that's very.
And then, Kwaya Lami does mean my hero. There's a bit of speed there, and then there is an outsider that I'm going to put into the quartet at least, Nico, and that's Kira's Ranger. I think it's any price because the mare was fast and she was with Lucky Udlakis.
Yeah, she
was.
And
I know it's early days for Watchung Mowing, but I remember him saying to me he's got 1 or 2 good 2-year-olds. So I'm just going to put this into the trifecta and quartet because it might be a sneaker. And then, of course, you'll know there's going to be too short for number 1. But wow, the breeding, very nicely bred, isn't it, Nico? Number 1. Brotherhood of Magic.
Brotherhood of Magic.
Very nice.
The mother was with Tyrone Zaki.
Very good. But
sisters.
I'm with you though. 7 and 8 to fight it out.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch number 4 for a place, maybe.
Yeah. You know what I'm very interested in is that, you know, firstly, there's 2 factors here in this race that I need to make extra sure that we cover those bases. One is if it's raining, the draw.
Yeah, number 7. Drawn better.
Zanovi's got the better draw, drawn at 9, Exchange Student at 2. That's a worry for Exchange Student fans. If it's raining, that 800 meters, you're better off drawn on the stand side of the classic track. The thing in Exchange Students' favor is the 2.5 kilogram sex allowance, and the fact that we know on previous occurrences that in juvenile form, fillies are more precocious than colts. They're quicker.
Yes.
So for me, I would be in the camp on form of Exchange Student ahead of Zanovi, but the draw and the weather conditions may play their part there, in which case I might switch to the other way around. Zanovi.
And if Mr. Chudder arrives there, I'll definitely be on 7.
I think
if he makes the drive.
Unless he's on holiday, I think knowing him, he'll be there. Okay, so that's race 2. I want to skip along a little bit now to race number, which one shall I go to? I wanted to go to race 5. I thought race 5 was pretty meaty. Now, this is off at 20-3. Is a merit rated 73 handicap over 1,800 meters. I'll try and get the betting up because that's disappeared off the screen, even from the website that we were using. This, to me, was a real toughie. It was a lowly rated handicap, but there were several that hit the mark for me over here. What do you like?
I agree, Nico. What I think you and I need to get out to the guys out there, the Celestial City, this beautiful son of Silvano, might not be going to Hollywood. So we just need to tell the punters out there.
I think people realized that last time out. I mean, not again that we want to harp on about it, but we were both big on Otto Laken last time out. And people thought we were mad or we were bad luck, or I don't know what they were thinking, but we were studiers of form. Celestial City has a bit of an excuse because it switched at the 600, but I called the race.
Yes.
It was making up ground. It definitely was making up ground on Otto Laken at the finish. So the 1,800 may suit it better, but the draw is dead against it today.
Dead against it. And it's not a one. So he might win his races, but he's not going to go. I personally don't think he'll go all the way to the top.
Yeah.
So that's why this race is very difficult, as you said, Nico. I hope we agree because there are a lot of races like this today that are tricky. I ended up going with, the game between the 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds for me was trappy here. Yeah. Because some 3-year-olds doing some 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds weight, so it makes it hard. African Torrent will be my narrow first selection. If we go on a line on Otto Laken, hold Celestial City. So I'll start with that one. Number 4, Sequoia. Very good last 2 runs with Randall aboard. I think that's a player. Number 5, Duke of Rain on that last run. Slightly better off with the weights with Sequoia. Number 3, obviously, Celestial City, we'll put it in. And then these 2 at the bottom here, Top Sail and Chasing Maverick. I might end up going with Chasing Maverick because this is a 5-year-old getting weight from 3-year-olds, and he's in good form.
Yeah.
So hard race. I'll probably go 10, 6, 4, 5, 3. How does that sound?
Not altogether in agreement there, but I'd certainly prefer the lower rated, the lower weighted horses here. And they're not much lower weighted. I mean, you mentioned Chasing Mavericks. He carries just 56. So Celestial City has to give him 3.5 kilos, and he's coming from a better draw. I think that's going to be tough. Sequoia, for me, you touched on. I'm a question mark over the 1,800 meters. I know he ran fair enough, but the 1,800 worries me about Sequoia. So I've gone against that. Duke of Rain, I give a chance to. I thought he'll be okay. Funny enough, African Torrent doesn't come out well on collateral form lines for me, and I preferred others. But I'm just going to go back to what you mentioned. If you look strictly at the Otto Laken run where Top Sail and Celestial City both ran, am I wrong? No, they didn't run in that same race today. No, different races. But I'm using Otto Laken as the line horse. Top Sail carried level weights with Otto Laken and finished 1.5 lengths behind it. Celestial City received 2.5 kilos from Otto Laken and was also beaten a similar margin. And Celestial City has to give Top Sail 3. The math doesn't
Yes.
work out to tip Celestial City in front of Top Sail. You can't do
Top
that.
Sail, and then I'm going to throw in my African Torrent here again, because on that Otto Galakin,
Yeah.
African Torrent beat Otto Lakin at level weight. So I had to put that in as well. But I agree with you on Top Sail, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads us to believe that as we know, it's a tough race, and there'll be some conjecture there on our discussions, but we're hoping that we come up with one of those to win that race. Then I want to move into race 7, if you don't mind. This one runs at 5-4. It's a fillies and mares 89 divided handicap, and it's run over 1,800 meters. At this stage, Give Me a Light is still running. I'm not sure.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it will still run, because I thought it was an indifferent run on Monday. I didn't really, I fancied it to kill, and I made the Danger the winner of Robbie Sage.
Well, you know, when you and I did the show, I actually liked the winner, and you liked this one, and you actually transformed me onto this one.
Yeah, correct. I know. I'm sorry, but so I made the two of them both runners, but it's disappointing. Now she is going the extra ground. I didn't see her making up ground there, so I'm surprised that she's still running, to be quite honest. Today. But be that as it may, there's one change that Miami number 2 has pacifiers on. Tell me what you like.
Well, I can tell you that Quiet Rebellion number 10 is a big runner. I think this is a big runner. I'll start straight off there. Pelasandi employee for Stewie Pettigrew. Although up in class here, some nice form, better at the weights and beat Strange Magic. Better at the weights with Kind Judy. There's a few form lines there, and I like the 52 kilograms. None other. Good horse. Daughter of Flower Alley. I think the penny is dropping for None Other. And on a tricky card, Nick, I was even tempted to bank None Other in a horse like the PAs, for instance, because that run behind Miss Daisy and that run behind Emerald Gina last time was top class. So None Other, Quiet Rebellion, and then horses like Kind Judy, so consistent. Number 4, Southern Stong, who on one race has beaten Kind Judy, but on this last race is held by Kind Judy. It's one of those races, Nico. And then, you know, I'd love to say Strange Music, but quite well held by Quiet Rebellion. But then again, I must mention, Candice Dawson did say Strange Magic was also in that traffic that day. 3 hours on the highway, on the Pascal Samurai form line. So I've got to be careful of that one. Tough race. I'll probably go 5 from 10.
But was it in the traffic on the highway? Did it run that day, or was it scratched?
It ran that day.
Oh, it did run that day. Okay.
Yeah, the Pascal Samurai run.
Oh, that was the Pascal Samurai run. Okay,
where it's held by number 10 Quiet. But I don't know if Quiet Rebellion was in the same traffic. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, look, on that run, as you mentioned, I mean, Quiet Rebellion's down as many as 8 kilos. Strange Magic is down only 2.
Correct.
It would be hard pressed for Strange Magic to be Quiet Rebellion, although she is progressive, but she has to give weight to the older horse, which is a bit of a weight. None Other, just quickly picking up on None Other, very well-bred filly, and she's run with the best of her generation. Again, the question mark is the distance of 1,800 meters. Look, she's a daughter of Flower Alley, which will make her get it, but the mother only won 1 race. She was retired after her maiden win, which is up the straight, Vaal 1,400. The question mark is the trip for her. So I wouldn't go out on a limit. I'd say she has a chance, but I wouldn't go out on a limit and say that she's a good thing there. I think that race is trappy. What about this top weight Eternal Life? I say top weight, but it actually comes into 59.5 now because of Kacheri's weight allowance there. So it actually doesn't carry top weight. But what about this horse? Because the reason I mention her is the runs at the classic track are good. She seems to have a penchant for this racetrack.
Yeah, you make a good point there, Nico. Has run decent times as well, Eternal Life. 2 wins in the wet, drawn 1. It would have to have a chance. I'm a bit worried about today's card because, you know, you mentioned also I haven't even got my top 4, but it's got a winning chance, Nico. This is one of those days, definitely. And course and distance form has to be a player.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. That's our assessment of some of the races today. As I say, we are certainly pushing our Clock in the Gallop direct line. And if you do come on board, you'll get our assessment of all the races, not only the assessment from Lyle Cooper and myself, but also from the Ghost Rider, Nino Podesta chips in, as well as Neil Andrews, who are regular Clock in the Gallop team. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we're happy to have on board Robert Bloomberg, for the assessment for Saturday's meeting at the Lormans King's Plate. Now, Neil is coming back from holiday now at the moment, as we speak. He should be arriving this morning sometime, but he is presenting at the King's Plate on Saturday on the track. So we'll try and hook up with him maybe on Friday when he does get down to Cape Town, which is tomorrow. And it's great to have a Clock in the Gallop representative at the course. So hopefully we'll get the inside track from him before the meeting starts.
He's a lucky man because he gets to see Charles Dickens. I don't know how many of us are going to get to see Charles Dickens.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the point. What do you make, by the way, just finally, the final point, because we're running out of time. What do you make of the Elder Domea story with regards to the fact that he won the first race on Tuesday? We know that he's in this weight loss program to get down to the 55 kilos, but they are very, well, I've heard on good authority that Grant van Niekerk is definitely on standby to ride Charles Dickens if Aldo, for some other reason, doesn't make it. But he was stood down after that win in the first race on Tuesday, which was pretty interesting for me.
Yeah, Nico, you always know more stories than I do. I've heard nothing, and it's sad. I just hope that I really, really hope that he's well to ride it on Saturday in the right way, because just the way he's talked this horse up, and it must be so exciting for him and Candace and Gaynor. I hope he rides it. I really do. Grant will be an able replacement, but it's Aldo's horse, and so I'll be pretty sad if he doesn't ride.
Absolutely. We're certainly hoping that he does get to ride. As I say, there is some, it's a bit of uncertainty in the ranks because of what happened on Tuesday. I mean, that first horse, the full sister to Clouds Unfold, won very, very well. Really pulled away from the field, but you know, he didn't ride another horse on the day, which you know, we need to find out what's going on. Now, I just want to quickly tell the public out there, this is from the official Stipes report, that I'm just going to quickly see what happened here, and I'll read it out to everyone with regard to Elder Domea. Jockey Domea stood down by the course medical officer. Rule 25.12 applied. So it doesn't say much else than he was just stood down. So we'll try and get it on the show certainly by tomorrow when I do maybe even by tonight when I do the preview for Fairview with Nino Podesta. We'll try and get the lowdown on what's happening with Elder Domea.
I'm sure I'll hear on course today as well, Nico. I'll hear stories, I'm sure.
I think you will do. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the story. I definitely hope that he does ride it. Okay, Lal, who's that? Who's that, by the way?
This is Baby. She's Baby, and she's the fastest dog you've ever seen in your life. You can see her body. She's got like a real sprinting horse type of body.
What does she catch? Rats?
Rats, anything. You know, these type of dogs, they're very, very fast.
Yeah. Okay, well, hopefully the dogs will be barking about the Clock in the Gallop direct line during the course of the morning. That's it, I'm afraid, for our regular Clock in the Gallop audience. If you join the Clock in the Gallop direct line, you'll get our full assessment today. I know some of you are disappointed, but that's the way that we're doing this weekend's selections. We'll be back with our normal previews on Monday. Thanks very much, Lyle Cooper. Great joining you, and all the best for later.
Thanks, Nico.